Hey guys, how you doing? Hopefully you're doing okay. Going to give you a very thorough overview of this article here. There's a link in the description. I do need to give you a trigger warning. This does involve the murder, the drowning of a newborn baby girl. Her name, Kayleen Lee. It's believed that the death occurred November the 16th. The two parents, the two psychopathic pieces of shit parents, have been arrested. They've both admitted to their part in the drowning of Kayleen Lee, I believe hours after her birth. I believe on the same day. Now, further to that, well, actually, I'll just wrap that point up. So, yeah, they have both admitted to their involvement in the murder of Kayleen Lee, their newborn baby girl. They're being held on a $1 million bail each. So I'm going to applaud the authorities concerned in Iowa, which is where this tragic incident occurred. So well done, Iowa. I applaud that $1 million bail. I believe that absolute scumbags should be held. You know, they should not have access to society. They should not be allowed to walk the streets. And once arrested, they ought to remain in jail up until, you know, they face a trial. These guys have admitted their involvement. So, you know, why would you risk having them back on the streets? Okay, I believe your laws are such that you have to allow some level of bail. But if that is the case, then yes, have it set by the judge at a very high bail, which is what has happened here. So I applaud Iowa. I applaud the judge concerned that issued the $1 million bail each for these two scumbags, Taylor Blaha, the mother, and Brandon Toma, the scumbag piece of shit father. So as I say, they both have admitted to having drowned Kayleen Lee and then discarded of her body in garbage bags. Further, the father has cooperated with police to the extent that he has said that he will show the police where exactly the location of where they discarded Kayleen Lee, in a wooded area somewhere in Iowa. Now, presumably, the police have gone to that location and searched for the remains of Kayleen Lee. However, they still have not found the body. So there's a big question mark there. If the father has complied and complied and cooperated, rather, is the better word, and let police know where he left or where they left Kayleen Lee's body, how come the police haven't found Kayleen Lee's body? Why is that? Is it perhaps because the father hasn't quite got the location correct? It was in a wooded area. Perhaps they did this at night. He doesn't know the exact area. Perhaps he's got it wrong. That's one possibility. Another possibility is he's lying. That's another possibility, but I wouldn't go with that one, seeing as seemingly they've both admitted to the murder of Kayleen Lee. So I'm thinking the other possibility is that perhaps Kayleen Lee's body has been taken by animals in the area. I mean, I don't know. That's a thought which occurs to me. So I'm going to go into a little bit more detail in regards to the murder and the motives. So a little bit more detail here. So apparently at the time of delivery, Kayleen Lee was crying, had her eyes open. She was moving her arms. She was moving her legs. Seemingly, she was a perfectly formed, perfectly healthy baby. But these two scumbags didn't want to have a baby. It tells us here, the article tells us that they didn't want a baby because they were concerned that the neighbors would call the police, and if the police came to their apartment, the police would find methamphetamine. And they were scared that if the police came to the apartment and found methamphetamine, they were scared that the police would take away their other son, their 2-year-old son, which I presume has indeed happened. The article hasn't told us that, but presumably the 2-year-old son has been taken care of either by other family members or perhaps it's been taken into the care of the state already. But can you fucking believe that line of thought, the reasoning there? They decided to kill a child, kill a newborn baby, because they didn't want the police to come around and find methamphetamine in the apartment. Here's some advice for you parents, scumbag pieces of shit. Perhaps don't have the methamphetamine in the apartment in the first place, around a 2-year-old, around a newborn baby. You know, perhaps you can manage that. Just not have illicit drugs in the house, in the apartment. Perhaps, you know, there's a thought. Instead of killing a child, instead of committing murder, infanticide, murdering your own child, perhaps you could have just not had methamphetamine. There's an option. Did you guys struggle to think of that one? Okay, so apparently, if I understand correctly, they both have admitted to their involvement in drowning Kayleen Lee. They put Kayleen in a bathtub and pushed her down to force her body underwater. They drowned their newborn baby girl. Then they stuffed Kayleen's body in black garbage bags. They hid her in a backpack. And then they left the apartment to discard of the body, which they did in a wooded area, apparently. Now, police got involved on November the 22nd. Apparently, a social worker called 911 saying that a woman had given birth and then the child's body was discarded. But we don't know how that social worker came to learn those details, but seemingly that is what happened. Investigators have done searches on the scumbags' electronic devices, and they found a couple of interesting things, or damning things. They found text messages between the two scumbags showing that they dumped the child's body in a wooded area. The searches on their electronic devices, their mobile phones, no doubt, also showed that they did Google searches. They searched online for how to induce a miscarriage. So they knew prior to the birth of Kayleen Lee, they knew that they didn't want this child. They knew that they were prepared to induce a miscarriage. You know, that was one option they were considering. They knew they were prepared to take the life of this newborn child, to commit murder. Like, why didn't they use their fucking brains? You two scumbags, you didn't have to do this. You didn't have to take an innocent life. You didn't have to murder your own child. You didn't have to drown your own child when your 2-year-old son's in the apartment at the same time, I should imagine. You didn't have to discard of your newborn baby's body in a wooded area. You did not have to do this. You fucking morons. If you didn't want to have the baby, you could have spoken with the authorities in regards to giving the baby up for adoption. That's what you could have done. Yeah? You could have had birth in a hospital, perhaps. Is that such an odd idea? You know, the article tells us that she took methamphetamine to cope with the pain of giving birth. I don't think that's something that's given by the hospitals. I think, I mean, clearly she gave birth at the apartment. Why? Why did she do this? Why did they both subject themselves to this situation? What is it? Is this low IQ? Are these people dumb as F-U-C-K? As well as being evil as F-U-C-K? You could have gone to a hospital. You could have had proper treatment. You could have had this all prearranged. The baby could have been adopted at birth. I'm no expert in adoption. In fact, I know very, very little about it. But I'm quite sure that there is a demand for adopting children and adopting newborns. Correct me if I'm wrong. Please do in the chat, in the comment section. But I mean, resorting to this, I mean, maybe they didn't even resort to it. I mean, they seemed like pretty keen on the idea, having done searches to find out how to induce miscarriage, both of them joining in to, forgive me, drown their own newborn baby, submerged her under the water in the bathtub. So the father told investigators that he would bring them to the area where he discarded Kayleen's body near a landfill. However, police have yet to find Kayleen's remains. So again, I'm wondering why that is. I'm thinking perhaps Kayleen's body was not adequately buried, and that wildlife in the area simply took Kayleen's body. That's my guess. Could be entirely wrong. That's pretty much all the information that we have. Both of these pieces of shit, the mother, the father, are being charged with murder. The father is also charged with abuse of a corpse. Presumably, he was more involved in the discarding of the baby, of the body. That would be my guess. There is a reward for anybody that can find the child's body, that identifies the location of Kayleen's body. A reward. But I've got to say, I'm not happy with this one. It's a $1,500 reward. Okay, Iowa, I applaud you for making the decision of issuing a $1 million bail each for these two pieces of shit. You don't want these scumbags walking the streets. They shouldn't have access to society as a whole. They've admitted to their involvement in drowning their newborn child, Kayleen Lee. Why? Again, because they didn't want to be found with methamphetamine in the apartment, you dumb pieces of shit. But why give a reward of such a low amount? $1,500? Come on, $1,500. That's kind of insulting, to be honest. If somebody was to stumble across a child's body, I mean, that's going to be distressing and traumatic. I don't know. I've seen rewards given from other... Am I wrong? Is something wrong with giving a high reward? Maybe there is. Maybe there's something I'm missing. But to me, it's too low an amount. But I guess, trivial point, the ultimate details here, the important details are a newborn baby's life has been taken away. And I've got to say, needlessly. That's what strikes me. I mean, obviously, all murders are needless, or, you know. But this one in particular just seems so pointless. These two scumbags have thrown their own lives away. They've destroyed the life of their 2-year-old son. Or let me rephrase that. Let me rewind on that last point. They've not destroyed the life of their 2-year-old son. Thankfully, their 2-year-old son will now have the opportunity to be raised by decent people, decent adults. Hopefully that's the case. So prayers to the newborn baby. Prayers to the 2-year-old son. But it seems so needless to me. These guys could have gone down the adoption route. Again, I'm not an expert. If I'm missing some details there, educate me in the comment section. But there we go. I'm going to wrap things up here, guys. Please do like, comment, subscribe, share the video. Consider becoming a member. I'd love to get to 10 members. And thank you.